Shucky ducky, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hope we're all having a great day today. I'm having a pretty normal day myself. Hello, PB. Seems like my internet may be playing up a little bit, so we'll just play it by ear, folks. We'll just play it by ear. I think I'll just chill here in Warframe today. There is, of course, some new stuff in well, not new stuff, but there is, of course. Hey, Stella, how's it going? So yeah, there is of course the Mona story quest from the Golden Apple Archipelago that is now available today. But I figured, you know, 2 or rather 3 Genshin streams in a row. That does seem a little bit excessive, don't you guys think? By 3, I do include the TennoCon stream, which was mostly just me playing Warframe whilst waiting for Tenno Live, and then of course swapping over to Warframe halfway through. So before we begin with today's stream, I do want to show you guys something that I came across on Reddit, just so that we can all start off the day with something ridiculous. 25-year-old pizza man runs into a burning house, saves 4 children, who tell him there might be another inside. He goes back, finds a girl, jumps out of the window, and carries her to a cop who captures that moment on his body cam. Let's have a look at that. When it loads. While it's up, there we go.
To let him know their house is on fire. I saw him around back. That's the last time I seen him.
Holy shit!
Guys, 6-year-old girl and a 23-year-old male still missing in the house somewhere. What do you got? 6-year-old female and a 23-year-old male possibly inside.
Yeah. As soon as they hear that, they're like, "Oh shit! Okay, no more screwing around. Let's go."
Guys, come here. Come here.
What's happening? Oh, there he is.
Come here. Are you Xavion?
That's everybody.
Sit down. Need medics.
Come with me, man. Come with me. Come with me. We gotta get away from the house. Hey, we gotta get away from the house, okay?
Okay, baby. You're okay.
Talk about all-day delivery, man. Oh, his arm's all screwed up.
Is the baby okay? Please don't.
What are they doing to his arm? They're not lopping it off, are they?
100%? Yes, you're.
No, I think they've just... They're probably... Yeah, give this man a raise. Dude, this guy needs more than just a raise, man. What an absolute king. Bostic wrapped his shirt around his mouth and nose and braved a black lagoon of smoke in the stairwell to retrieve a child. As he couldn't find the door he used through the thick smoke, they runned upstairs where Bostic punched a window, which is probably why his arm was completely fucked up, before jumping to the ground while making sure the child landed safely, which is also probably why his arm was incredibly screwed up. What an absolute... What, like, you want to talk about, like, alpha male mindset? That's an alpha male mindset right there. So you know what? I want to applaud that guy. He jumped from a 2-story house. Yes, he jumped from a 2-story house. I want to applaud this guy. I want to thank him. He is awesome, and I hope he recovers soon. Yeah, one absolute Chad. Incredible, folks. Incredible. So yeah, good on that guy. 100% good on that guy. I couldn't feel my legs during 9th grade when I jumped from the roof of my classroom. Okay, why are you jumping from the roof of your classroom? Or why were you jumping from the roof of your classroom? That's the big question. I once thought I lost all feeling to my feet when I did a long jump and then landed on a chain and somehow I landed on a chain, like, weird. And then my entire, like, leg area, both my legs just suddenly didn't really function for a bit. I don't know what happened. It's not like I sustained any real injuries. But it's like, I did a long jump to, like, you know, like, to like a playground sort of, this was when I was very young, by the way, to a playground thing with like some chains that you could climb up. Yeah, I landed feet on the chains on the ground, and somehow that alone basically must have sent some sort of like a shockwave through my feet, through my legs, and suddenly my legs just didn't work for like 3 minutes. It's my feet, to be precise, not my legs, because my feet absorb the shock. Oh. I mean, your knees also absorb some of the shock as well, I think. Yeah. Alright, so we do have, of course, some Warframe news to talk about, in the sense that we have, in fact, an article. Not exactly an article, but we have at least the image of an article, which is probably an article from something along the lines of like the Washington Post or something like that. Basically, we now have a vague idea of what the Archons are going to be. So obviously, we know that the Veil Hunter, I think it's Veilbreaker, sorry, the Veilbreaker update for Warframe is going to bring back the Archons. So people may have speculated what the Archons are about. It looks like the Archons in Warframe, who were a major part of the New War, they're going to be making their return. And for those who haven't played the New War, PB, they will be... that you will essentially experience them as, oh, meet the Archons, and then, the Archons are now a major part of the game. So apparently they're going to be DE's attempt at another endgame game? Are we still alive? Chat, are we still alive? Chat, are we still alive? I should braid my hair. I don't have the time nor the energy to braid my hair. But thanks, Seller. Okay, so as I was saying, tonight's stream is gonna be pretty scuffed. But yeah, so the Archons are going to apparently be another endgame game. In Warframe. That's at least their goal. So we'll be interested to see what it ends up being. Like, if it's going to be like a Steel Path sortie, I'm up for that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm up for a Steel Path sortie. Hell yeah. Sorties are kind of interesting in the sense that they are, of course, like a series of 3 missions, but with special, modifiers, which is not bad. You know, it's not like the most interesting and unique thing in the universe, because it is effectively just a normal mission plus a modifier. But you know, it still, I'll still play them if it's Steel Path sorties. Yeah, hell yeah, I'll do them. Okay, so apparently Archons are going to be their own kind of sortie, and apparently it's going to be a weekly thing. So I don't know how powerful they're going to be, chat, because they're going to try and they're allegedly going to try and balance Archons for 4-player gameplay. Now, chat, last time DE tried to balance something around 4-player gameplay was I was going to say Eidolons, but that's not true. Last time DE tried to balance something around 4-player gameplay, it was Exploiter Orb and Profit Taker Orb. And of course, Eidolons are to some extent supposed to be balanced around 4-player gameplay. The problem is, as anyone who has been watching this stream, or Age Invasion, or anyone really, knows, Eidolons, as well as the Orb Mothers, they're kind of getting stomped by just solo players these days. And that's because we have a lot of systems in place, including Battlerai, that kind of delete a lot of the endgame bosses that currently exist in Warframe. And by endgame bosses, I am specifically referring to Tridolons and the Orb Mothers. Yeah, sweaty hardcore parkour 6x3s, hold my Eidolons lures. Exactly. So that is my big question. Devious little creature. Hey, thanks for the follow. So that's my big question, chat. What is the life cycle of these Archons going to be? I think when the Archons first come out, they will in fact seem like they are balanced around 4-player gameplay, and for about 3 months, let's go with that for starters, I think for at least 3 months, yeah, it is going to be rather tricky. And then within those 3 months, there will be a meta that has been established. And not only is that meta going to be established, it's going to be hard-baked. So it will be hard-baked as in, if you don't bring a specific Warframe, you will be flamed on by every single other person in your team. So the toxicity will kick in. And so after that, that will basically last for another 2 years. Within 2 days, I get the feeling they won't be a joke after 2 days, because here's the thing, PB. If DE is going to try, and by the way, Rebecca is the new creative director, and I think it's worth having high hopes for her for the time being. So let's just see what she does, and let's just see how Warframe evolves under her leadership. I'm very interested to see how it turns out. But like, considering that like they're basically going to be balancing around 4 players, what does being the director mean? It basically means like you get the final say. Like there's a lot of things that goes to being the creative director. I can't really speak in terms of game design, but I'm going to assume that it's quite similar to like film and television. So if you're the creative if you're the creative director of like film and TV, you are basically the one who signs off on ideas to be implemented. You are the one who basically signs off on like, oh yeah, this is how I want it to be. This is how I want this other thing to be. You know, that kind of thing. So then when like people, so that obviously will, you're right. What happens in the discussions, like you will be a part of, and then she basically decides on the lore. To some extent, probably, because it's kind of like this. It's like you will say, I want this, this, and this to be done. That will then go down to various supervisors and various other directors, whether it be animation director or animation supervisor, VFX director, VFX supervisor. I'm of course referring to film. There will probably be similar roles in game design. And of course, like, you know, editing and shit like that, right? So those people will then have their own teams to sort out and implement the ideas that they are trying to implement, right? And then eventually, the work will then come back to you for review as the creative director. You will look at it and be like, yep, that's exactly, that is essentially what I want it to be. Or, yeah, that's what I want it to be, but can we also do this? Can we also do this? Let's change this as well. Can we also just make sure that this is something else like this? Something like that, right? You will also be, my understanding is that you will also be like the last person to sign off on a lot of the stuff. And then it goes into the game. In Warframe's case, it's like, for example, creative director, you will be part of the new Warframe making process. So for example, they're like, okay, we're gonna make a new Warframe. Let's come up with some ideas, and creative director will come up with some ideas, someone else will come up with some ideas, someone else will come up with some ideas, etc, 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 yeah. Okay, awesome. Eventually, the idea will be, okay, we're gonna make a Warframe who's going to use a spear and a shield. So if she decides to rework Inaris, it's gonna be done within a whim. If she decides to rework Inaros, if she decides that it's high time to rework Inaros, which, by the way, Rebecca, it's high time to rework Inaros, that process will begin. The process of trying to figure out how to rework Inaris will begin. The process of getting ideas from feedback from players will begin. The idea of then taking those ideas and trying to figure out and visualize what they will look like in the game, that will begin. The idea of then the process of taking the ideas that they have decided, whether it be like is through a discussion or whether it be through like some sort of voting system, I don't know, but like they're gonna actually figure it out. They're gonna add shields to Inaris once it gets reworked. They might, but they probably won't. So, you know, the entire process will begin, and then eventually what's going to happen is, okay, here are the ideas for Inaros. His first ability is going to do this, his second ability is going to do this, his third ability is going to do this, his fourth ability is going to do this. So then the animation team sets off to go and animate all those abilities to do what they're supposed to do. The programming team will then set off to program those abilities so that when this button is pressed, this particular animation is done, this thing happens, etc, etc, whatever programmers do, okay? Eventually, that's all gonna come together, and then Rebecca, the creative director, is going to look at it and say, this is what I want. Or she's going to say, no, I think this is not the direction that we want Inaris to be. We wanted Inaris to do this a little bit better, this a little bit more, something like that. Programmers go to Stack Overflow? Yeah, they probably do as well. but my point is like creative director, you're going to be part of the discussion on how things are going to happen. You're going to be leading the team to like figuring out coming up with the new ideas, but also you're going to be the one who's going to have to like sign off on like the big changes that are going to come into Warframe. So basically the point is, since Rebecca is now the creative director, like she's going to have quite a pretty decent amount of pressure on her hands, but I get the feeling that like as the community manager for So Bloody Long, I think she has a pretty decent idea of what we want, so hopefully she'll be able to use that knowledge to lead the team. Okay, are we still alive, folks? To lead the team to you know, to making something interesting. Creative director, not director. Creative director and director are probably the same thing in this context. Because like the alternative to being a creative director would probably be to be a technical director, which is more like figuring out the systems in the back end and various other bits and bobs. It's a little bit different. But like to be a director of anything implies more of like the idealization. That's not the correct word. There's a word I'm trying to find. Not idealization. Yeah, I'm just using your stream as background noise. Okay, awesome. Point is, if the Archon fights are actually difficult enough that 4 players are needed in some way, shape, or form, I think it'll be very interesting. That's just what I'm saying. Like, I think it's high time we get some actual, like, co-op content in Warframe that actually is difficult enough where co-op is seemingly required. The only thing that I can think of right now that could be difficult enough where co-op is seemingly required is potentially Steelpath Roper Lawless, and that's mainly because Steelpath Roper Lawless takes bloody forever to kill without 4 players. You don't, like, it's possible to kill Steelpath Roper Lawless by yourself. But as I discovered, at least in my experience, it just takes very long. It just takes a very, very long time. So yeah, if Warframe can get some actual endgame content, I think that would be fantastic. Because that will definitely bring a lot of the veterans back.
These foes deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths, and I with your victory.